World War II stands as one of the most significant events in human history, shaping the geopolitical landscape of the 20th century and leaving an indelible mark on societies worldwide. Lasting from 1939 to 1945, it was a conflict of unparalleled magnitude, involving the majority of the world's nations and resulting in an estimated 70 to 85 million fatalities, including civilians and military personnel. This catastrophic conflict arose from a complex interplay of factors, including unresolved tensions from World War I, economic instability, territorial ambitions of dictatorial regimes, and ideological clashes. The seeds of World War II were sown in the aftermath of World War I, where the punitive Treaty of Versailles imposed heavy reparations and territorial losses on Germany, contributing to economic distress and fostering a sense of resentment and nationalism. Meanwhile, in Italy, Benito Mussolini's fascist regime sought to reassert Italian power through aggressive expansionism in Africa and the Mediterranean. Adolf Hitler's rise to power in Germany in the 1930s marked a pivotal turning point. Exploiting public discontent and capitalizing on nationalist fervor, Hitler's Nazi Party rapidly transformed Germany into a totalitarian state. Hitler's territorial ambitions, articulated in his book Mein Kampf, aimed at expanding German Lebensraum, living space, and establishing hegemony over Europe. Simultaneously in Asia, Imperial Japan embarked on its own expansionist agenda, seeking to dominate East Asia and the Pacific. The Japanese invasion of Manchuria in 1931 and subsequent atrocities like the Nanking Massacre foreshadowed the brutal nature of Japan's imperial ambitions. The march towards conflict accelerated with a series of aggressive actions by Axis powers. In 1936, Hitler remilitarized the Rhineland, violating the Treaty of Versailles. The following year, Germany annexed Austria in the Anschluss, furthering Hitler's goal of unifying all German-speaking peoples. In 1938, the Munich Agreement allowed Germany to annex the Sudetenland, a German-speaking region of Czechoslovakia, further emboldening Hitler. The turning point came with Hitler's invasion of Poland in September 1939, triggering declarations of war from Britain and France. The world was thrust into a global conflict as the Axis powers, comprising Germany, Italy, and Japan, clashed with the Allies, consisting primarily of the United Kingdom, the Soviet Union, China, and later, the United States. World War II was fought on multiple fronts across the globe, spanning Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. In Europe, the Western Front saw intense fighting between Allied and Axis forces, including iconic battles like the Battle of Britain, the Blitz, and the D-Day invasion of Normandy. On the Eastern Front, the brutal conflict between Germany and the Soviet Union raged, culminating in the pivotal Battle of Stalingrad, which turned the tide of the war in favor of the Allies. In the Pacific, Japanese forces launched surprise attacks on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and numerous Allied territories, including the Philippines and Malaya. The Pacific theater witnessed grueling island-hopping campaigns, such as the battles of Midway, Guadalcanal, and Iwo Jima, as Allied forces sought to roll back Japanese expansion. Meanwhile, in Africa, Allied forces confronted Axis powers in campaigns like the North African Campaign, where British forces under General Bernard Montgomery clashed with the famed German commander Erwin Rommel. The Desert Fox. World War II was characterized by widespread atrocities and violations of human rights. The Holocaust, perpetrated by Nazi Germany, resulted in the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews, along with millions of others deemed undesirable by the regime, including Roma, Slavs, disabled individuals, and political dissidents. In Asia, Imperial Japan committed numerous war crimes, including the massacre of civilians, forced labor, and the establishment of brutal prison camps, where Allied prisoners of war were subjected to torture and abuse. The rape of Nanking, in which hundreds of thousands of Chinese civilians were massacred by Japanese troops, remains one of the most infamous atrocities of the war. Despite early setbacks, the tide of the war began to turn in favor of the Allies. The Battle of Midway dealt a crippling blow to the Japanese Navy, halting their advance in the Pacific. In Europe, the Soviet Union's successful defense of Stalingrad and subsequent counteroffensives pushed German forces back, leading to the eventual liberation of Eastern Europe. The Allied invasion of Normandy on June 6, 1944, commonly known as D-Day, marked a pivotal moment in the war. With the largest amphibious invasion in history, Allied forces launched a coordinated assault on German-occupied France, establishing a crucial foothold in Western Europe and paving the way for the liberation of France and the defeat of Nazi Germany. By 1945, the Axis powers were on the brink of defeat. In the Pacific, the United States unleashed a devastating campaign of island assaults, culminating in the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, prompting Japan's unconditional surrender on August 15, 1945. In Europe, the Soviet Union's Red Army launched a massive offensive, capturing Berlin in May 1945 and bringing an end to the Third Reich. On May 8, 1945, known as Victory in Europe, VE Day, the Allies celebrated the unconditional surrender of Nazi Germany. World War II left an enduring legacy, reshaping the geopolitical landscape and fundamentally altering the course of history. The war laid the groundwork for the emergence of the United States and the Soviet Union as superpowers, while European colonial empires began to unravel in the aftermath of the conflict. The establishment of the United Nations in 1945 marked a concerted effort to prevent future global conflicts and promote international cooperation. The Nuremberg and Tokyo trials sought to hold Axis leaders accountable for war crimes and crimes against humanity, setting important precedents for international law. The devastation wrought by World War II also spurred efforts to promote peace and reconciliation, leading to the formation of institutions like the European Union and initiatives aimed at fostering economic cooperation and collective security. In conclusion, World War II stands as a harrowing testament to the capacity for human destruction and suffering, but also to the resilience, courage, and sacrifice of those who fought against tyranny and oppression. As the world commemorates the anniversaries of pivotal battles and reflects on the lessons of the past, the memory of World War II serves as a solemn reminder of the imperative to strive for peace, justice, and the preservation of human dignity.